Is there a client, a story, a situation that would stick out and really explain what you do for your clients?
Sure, yeah. Gosh, every day there's probably hundreds of stories in logistics, but one that kind of was recent that really notated our problem solving, our creative thinking. We had an import shipment. So what happens is our client, the product they were importing, it was hotel furniture. And they manufacture in China, and we facilitate door to door, which means we reached out to our teams in China. They sent the container to the supplier's manufacturer. They load the product up. Then our carrier brings it to the port. It gets on an ocean ship, comes to LA. It's supposed to go to Colorado, so it actually comes in to the United States, sort of on the outer coast ports. This one specifically was LA Long Beach. And the COVID did a number on my industry. It really revealed a lot of severe infrastructure issues we have as a nation in transportation, and one of them is the ports. And so this container, it sat sitting at this port. It got unloaded from the ship. And what's funny is technology in theory is supposed to provide the transparency, right? So you're supposed to be able to look at technology systems out there now in my world and say, okay, the container's right here and it should be released on this date and moving on the rail to Colorado. We were up against a deadline because it's a hotel new build. So they had to install with the general contractor there, and there's specific dates that they need to meet. Otherwise, the hotel loses revenue if they can't book out that room because it's not finished. There's no furniture. It's sitting in an LA port. So what happened was we, instead of just allowing it to sit, which is what a lot of my competitors do, they do rely on that technology only. And when there's an exception, they just leave it. They just tell the client, well, I'm sorry, it's stuck at the port. What our team did is picked up the phone. We figured out who the port terminal manager was, what stack and what row this container was in the port of Long Beach. We then contacted the rail to say, hey, this container is in this row and this stack. Is there any way if we get it out today, we can bring it to you to load on the next train going to Colorado? And we dug through every single layer to really figure out how we could, what I call, rescue the freight from just sitting there for weeks and missing deadlines. And just by sheer pressure and communication, we were able to, that container, they said, oh, well, we've had other containers before yours that have been sitting here for 4 weeks. I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to get yours out. And just we persisted, and we kept calling and calling and calling all of these different touch points. And the very next day, that container was released. It was moved onto the rail, and it was delivered on time. We didn't have to transload it and charge the client, $6,000 more for trucking. We were able to follow through with our price quotation, but we were able to rescue that. And I mean, that's just the best story of the immense detail we put into what we call boutique customer service.